Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Gavv Episode 10. So, everybody, Halloween is over. Shoma's favorite holiday is officially over, and of course, Kari-san has been kidnapped, turned into a press or an ingredient, whatever, and the twins right now is cursing their half-brother's name because their plan has been spoiled once again. And the twins realize that they're in a deadline. However, they're not completely screwed just yet because they realize that they only have, less than 10 days before Lango returns and be like, okay, have you killed our half-brother yet? And where's where's our presses at, right? So they know that time is up the essence here. So they call their part-timer to tell him, you need to step it up. You need to give us more presses because, Lango is going to have our heads if we don't deliver our side of the deal and get our jobs back. But the thing is, though, let's say that the twins do deliver on their promise, at least deliver on the presses side, but not killing their half-brother. Will Lango consider giving the twins their jobs back? I don't think so, because the deal was you need to kill the red Gavv plus the amount of the presses that you guys promise. So I don't think that delivering half a deal will cut it. But the twins are going to try. So they call up their part-timer, letting him know that you need to step it up. All the while, we get into the next scene with Sashika and Shoma. And this time, they're working at a construction site. And we get this talk between them and the head construction leader. And he was talking about there's an eerie phenomenon that's going around town lately that, you hear this thing about a building moving from place to place, and you hear this eerie sounds of grinding and all that. And Sashika's like, it sounds like it came out of a horror movie. And Shoma is like, something ain't right here, because as we all know, ganutes have the ability of having super strength, and Shoma is a half ganute, and it's been shown that he also has superhuman strength. So he is right now connecting the dots here, that there's a possibility that there's maybe a rogue ganute somewhere. And all the while, we get to Hanto, who is waiting for Kari-san, but we all know that she's not going to show up because in the last episode, she got turned into a press. So he discovers the same wrapper that he found in the tunnels with the symbol of the name of the cafe. And he gets flashbacks, and he realizes that there's a strong possibility that Kari has been turned into a press by the very same monster he faced. So you see him all in shock, and he is running away. And after the opening credits, we get Shoma, the king of sweets, junk food, and diabetes, gets his first taste of a donut. He ate a donut for the first time, and we get his crazy, not flashbacks, but crazy segments of him every time he eats something for the first time. Like, remember, for the lollipop, we had this scene where he's in candy heaven. And this time, when he ate a donut for the first time, he's in donut heaven, how sweet it is and whatnot. And he immediately writes on his food diary and where he got it from and how it tastes like. And then we get this, thing with his gachizos hiding inside this box, because Shoma's like, why is this box moving? And he lifted off the box, and it was 3 of his gachizos. And then, of course, we witnessed the birth of the new donut gachizo. And then here comes Sashika, who apparently came out from the shower, because you see her with a towel all wrapped on her shoulders. And she thought that, hey, I saw something move. Do we have rats in this office? And Shoma's like, no, it's not rats, but I think you're imagining things. So we don't have rats. Trust me. You know, it would make sense because Shoma does live in the office now, but I'm not sure he knows how to cook. I mean, sure, he eats a lot of sweets, but I mean, even then it could attract, you know, roaches and rats. But I mean, so far the only things wandering around the office are the gachizos. But you know, Shoma's like, no, it's not rats. It's something else, or you're just imagining things. And then Hanto just bursts into the scene. You know, lucky for Shoma, right? Because if Hanto didn't show up, then Sashiko's like, we'll be playing the role of good cop, bad cop, like, you know, asking Shoma, you know, 20 questions. So Hanto shows up and asks Sashika to help locate, you know, the missing cafe. So we get an extended scene of Sashika online and just finding the cafe online that looked like to be like an Instagram account, whatever. But she couldn't find the actual location of it. She only found the page of the cafe. So this is where Hanto decides that maybe he should go back to the old spot where the cafe used to be before it disappeared and maybe find some clues or something aside from the drag marks. And then we have Shoma, who secretly sends his gummy scout to hunt down the baker and whatnot. And this is where Shoma volunteers to go with Hanto. And this is where we have another one of those awkward moments between the eventual half-brothers. Because, again, we as an audience know that both of them are Kamen Riders, but in the Gavv world right now, as of right now, Hanto and Shoma don't know that they are both Kamen Riders. So they're like, I should go with him because if the ganute does shows up, then I could protect him. Because he doesn't have Kamen Rider powers and whatnot, and of course they're doing that to the other. Like, I need to protect him because if I'm not there, then he's going to be seriously hurt. So I have to be with him at all times. But of course, you know, it's not like they're being a douchebags about it because Hanto could have took it as he's going to be in the way. I cannot turn into a Kamen Rider while he's around and he's going to get in the way. He's going to get seriously hurt. They are both thinking about the other's well-being. That's why they don't want the other person to get involved, which is cool and funny at the same time because, again, they're acting cool, but they don't want to reveal their identities. But ultimately, Hanto gave in. And you know what, Shoma? Fine, you can help me out. I prefer to do it alone, but it looks like you won't take no for an answer, so I'll take you with me. Why not? So we move on from there, from the first awkward moment of the day. Trust me, there's more. We go back to the ganute world, and Glotta pays a visit to her brother, and she upright, just point blank, asks her brother Nyelv that you knew about this before anybody else, didn't you, right? And Nyelv being all innocent, like, why do you assume that? I was as shocked as you are, you know, about the red Gavv and of course this new Kamen Rider. I'm in shock. How dare you? And Gota pointed out a couple of things that pretty much exposed Nyelv that, hey, if you were shocked as we were, then you would have just been amazed and be like, oh, I didn't know about this. Like, you'd be actual shocked and surprised, right? And yet you didn't. You just sat there and took it and smiled and not you made it so apparently obvious that I had to confront you and be like, hey, you knew about this, didn't you? And you didn't tell Lago and me. You kept that secret to yourself, and of course the twins knew about it as well, of course. And Nyelv is like, oh, like, don't get, like, before I get too ahead of myself here, Gota also adds, like, what is it that you're scheming? Like, what's going on here? And then Nyelv jumps in, like, look, I'm playing innocent here. I didn't know. Besides, I just want to play with my experiments. That's all I want. That's all I want. And it's been proven that he knows, like, he's playing with Hanto right now. Because remember, a couple episodes ago, after the debut of Valen, we saw Nyelv at the top of a building and just observing everything that's happened and be like, things are starting to get interesting now. So I wouldn't be surprised that he, behind the scenes, is, guiding the pathway to something. Like, he has his own interior motives as to why, he is interested in Hanto right now. So he is just plain innocent. I don't know anything. Besides, I just want to play with my experiments. I want to create experiments and play around with them, that sort of thing. But kudos to Gota. I mean, she started to become my favorite character amongst the Stomach family. Aside from being hot, she's just like, she is pretty, but she's not dumb. She's knows something is up. So yeah, that's why she confronts Nyelv, because she knows that you knew about this along with the twins. So what's going on? Confess up. So we move on from there to Hanto and Shoma. They go back to the scene of the crime, air quotes, and Shoma gets caught up of what Hanto knows, and he sees the drag marks, and then we get the flashback between the conversation Shoma had with the head construction worker, and realizes, wait a minute, this is a ganute we're talking about. Is there a possibility that the ganute and its super strength took his cafe and placed it somewhere else? And this is where Hanto realizes that, yeah, like, I mean, this is not an ordinary human we're talking about here. This is a monster we're talking about. There's a strong possibility that this thing could have just took his work of place of business and placed it somewhere else. I mean, it's possible. And so we move on to, Shoma concluding that, yes, the cafe definitely moved. And then, to confirm, we have Sashika, and she rings and tells our heroes that the cafe is spotted in Umezawa. And then we get to the next scene where we got a glimpse of the baker giving out, sweets to little children in a preschool. So he's after little kids now. So the heroes made it to the area, but once again, the cafe is nowhere to be found, and there's some drag marks. So this time we have the Gummy Scout, and the Gummy Scout found the baker, and Shoma reports back to Hanto, and they go to the address, and again, the cafe, but worst of all, the preschool is nowhere to be found. It's gone. And Hanto wonders, okay, is did you get a bad address or something? How did you get your information? But of course, Shoma is not gonna really tell the truth, right? Oh, my scout told me, and I see it in my iPhone, my Gochizo iPhone. It's not gonna happen. Obviously, Shoma is gonna play the runaround, play dumb, like I asked people around, duh. So this time, however, the boys found more drag marks. So this time they decided to follow the drag marks, leading them to the missing preschool in the middle of nowhere. And they both go inside the school. And then we get to the next scene with the baker, and he succeeded in turning those poor innocent children into presses. And he calls an agent or the twins saying that, hey, I have your batch of presses, come over and pick them up and give me my dark treats already. So as the baker ends his call and starts packing up, the boys are pretty much spying, and they have their second awkward moment between the two. Because, okay, they spotted the ganute, and they want to transform, but of course they don't want to transform while the other is present, because again, they don't know, because Shoma and Hanto assumes that they want to keep their secret identities from the other. And they're just like, oh, how am I going to transform when I have so-and-so here next to me? I need a distraction in order for me to transform. So how are we going to pull this off? And Shoma, again, is thinking the same thing. Those two boys are thinking exactly the same thing. Okay, how am I going to get rid of this person without, whatever? And due to Shoma's carelessness, the element of surprise was taken away. However, it did help the situation because Hanto voted himself, okay, you know what? I'm going to be the distraction. You go away. You go get some help or something. Right? Because the goal is to transform, right? And you cannot transform while the other person is there. So I figure, okay, all right, let's go with that. So Shoma just quickly runs away, and Hanto's like, damn, this guy runs so quickly. And then so Hanto goes in and confronts the evil ganute. While we get into the next scene where Shoma enters an empty classroom, he transforms into Gavv, and then Hanto and the ganute have this exchange, and of course they both transform and they fight. Obviously, I'm gonna skim through the fight scenes because you guys watch the show hopefully, because this is spoilers territory, but you guys seen the fight scene, so I don't need to go into full detail. So we get we get another team up between Hanto and Shoma in the rider forms. We get to see Valen. We get to see Lollipop Gavv, which Hanto was in shock to see him, all bulky and tall because he's like a damn transformer in lollipop form. And it became apparent to the evil ganute that 2 against 1 is unfair. He's getting overpowered, so he decides to run away by turning himself into a giant hermit crab, taking the preschool with him. And so we get this funny scene between Hanto and Shoma where Shoma lends Hanto his giant bazooka gun. And he tries to, and Hanto tries to lift it up knowing that it's super heavy for him, but he managed to lift it up briefly and he just shoots lollipop bullets, which causes the evil hermit crab ganute to stop. But it was so heavy for him, it was hilarious. So the hermit crab got hit, and then Shoma uses his new, I think, donut, gachizo. He uses his Bakukan. It looks like a cannon, and two cannon shoulders thing, and releases. It shoots at the hermit crab, which releases the children. They're still pressed in their press form, but they got released, and Shoma's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but Hanto's like, don't worry about it, you did great. And so after a huge barrage of lollipop shots and chocolate bullets later, and of course a pile of presses later as well, the ganute is destroyed. Kirari is rescued, and as Shoma or Hanto successfully rescued Kirari, Shoma just like takes Hanto with him, like, and hides, like, quickly, come on, hide. And Hanto's like, why am I supposed to hide? Why? Because you don't want to be screamed and yelled at monster, right? I think if Hanto would have stayed, I don't think he would have received the same treatment as, if Kirari would have seen Shoma and be yelled at monster. I just don't believe that. But Shoma didn't want to take that risk, so he took Hanto away in hiding just to, not to get yelled at as a monster. Kirari remembers, like, hey, I'm supposed to meet Hanto at the park, and she goes away. And then we have a third awkward moment between the two. Seriously, though, I wish these awkward moments do not end, at least up to the discovery of them being half siblings, because golly, because after Kirari leaves, they both realize that, hey, like, where is Hanto? Where is Shoma? Did they get blown up into smithereens? They thought that the other got blown up. It's like, oh, crap. Sure, we saved the day, but there's a strong possibility that I killed Shoma/Hanto. It's just this third and final awkward moment between the two is so funny. So, oh my god. So as they were pondering the death of the other, Hanto realizes that, yeah, I only have maybe one or two kachizos, and he mustered up the courage to tell Shoma, hey, is it alright for me to borrow a couple of your kachizos? And you can tell that Hanto is very shy, and he just doesn't want to pry, and it's just like, it's just for him, it's like, I don't want to ask, but I have to, because if I don't, like, I'm very limited when it comes to kachizo. I think I only have one in my name, and I don't want to rely too much on crazy Dr. Nick. So is it all right? Like, I want to ask, but you know what? I don't want to tell him the whole truth, but he ends up telling the whole truth. And then you have Shoma, who's like thinking that Hanto is a half ganute just like he is, and he feels like, oh man, he must be shy, he doesn't want to ask because he is in this awkward position. Maybe he suffered the same way as I did, that he cannot produce kachizos. So maybe I want to help him. I want to help this guy. So Shoma, in his kind, sweet heart, says, yes, you can borrow some of my kachizos. Why not? And he gives him a bundle full of kachizos. But here's the thing, though. He only gave chocolate kachizos. And I know you have different kachizos, Shoma, so why give him only chocolate? Like, I don't know, like, the way I saw the scene, like, Shoma was giving Hanto a bundle full of chocolate kachizos and telling him, hey, lend Valen your strength, okay? You have my permission. It's just as strange that he only gives him chocolate and not others. It's weird, but you know what? That's fine. But Hanto kudos to you. Yes, you were nervous to asking your senpai, to borrow good Chizos, but you know what? All's well that ends well. You're gonna be borrowing his good Chizos. Everything is fine. Don't worry about it. Even though in the back of his mind and also Shoma's mind is like, I think I killed Hanto. Oh, I think I killed Shoma. Like, is he? Oh man, they would have sucked at superhero. Anyways, as they were pondering the other's, death, Shoma returns to Shashika, and Shashika tells Shoma that she received a call from Hanto. He was very worried that you were in the crossfire, you were dead, whatever. But no, everything is fine. And she even recorded, Shoma being all awkward, like, hey, wait, hey, what are you doing? I'm gonna send this video to Hanto because he was definitely worried about you. And it gave Shoma the impression that, hey, Hanto really cares about him. He's super cool to think of me and my safety and whatnot. He's super cool. And then speaking of Hanto, he returns to the park to see Kairi and her dance, whatnot. And then we get to the final scene with Dr. Nick. He receives a flash drive in the mail, and apparently he gets a recording of Hanto, but also Shoma's recent fight, and, gives this evil, creepy look on his face of the progress that, Hanto has been making, and of course Shoma as well. So evil looking Dr. Nick is being shady right now, and I wonder if Dr. Nick and Nyelv are working together or something. And yeah, that's it, guys. That's the end of the episode. We had a week off, and, I feel refreshed, and I really enjoy the chemistry between Hanto and Shoma and their awkwardness between the other. And can you imagine the truth when it comes out that not only that, the other is a Kamen Rider, they're both Kamen Riders, but also the strong possibility of them being half brothers. That would be, really awkward indeed, but also I think it will give the other, be like, I thought that I was the only person in the entire family that is alone, and I have a sibling who, for one, is not interested in eating humans and turning them into dark treats, but also shares the same values as I do. And I believe that and Hanto especially, who doesn't have a father, his mother who got pounced on and killed, being alone, and also his mentor being dead, and to see Shoma being his only family left, I can see them having this moment together, crying and be like, we let us never be apart again. We're family. Let us work together. But again, I feel that in Hanto's case, the whole idea of having a brother being a half ganute is gonna, I don't know, be like, I don't know, because remember, he hates ganutes with a passion because they kidnapped his mother, and the eventual news that they killed his mom, plus they killed his mentor. They took everything from this kid, and the sheer idea of sharing blood with this kid being a half ganute, he's going to have a lot of mixed feelings, but eventually he will, realize that, hey, he is different. He's the only family that I have, and I have to protect him because I am the older brother. Right? So why not? But I love those awkward moments between the two. It's so funny, and it's just like, come on, they're acting cool towards each other, but it's like you're like Dumb and Dumber. You're like, damn, man, like, and I'm here for it. I really am here for it. The twins know that they are screwed, and Shashika thinks that her office is full of rats. And yeah, the day, the kids and Kirari they're now safe. And yeah, and Shoma ate donuts for the first time. And he gets a new weapon, and the awkward moment with Hanto trying to lift off this giant-ass gun. That was hilarious. And also the confession that he needs help. That Hanto just like, I need to tell him the truth, but not the whole truth. But he ends up telling the whole truth and be like, hey, can I borrow your gachizos, please? Because I cannot, I can't have only this form. Can you please help me? And Shoma's like, oh my God, he's just like me. He's a half ganute just like me. I feel sorry for him because I was in that same boat. So I will help him. I will help him because he's a fellow ganute in need. God, it's so funny. I love it. I love it. Give me your thoughts and opinions about this episode. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? If you dislike it, what would you change? And give me your thoughts and opinions of the episode. I know I'm repeating myself here, but I don't know what to say. My God. And what are your thoughts about the evil Dr. Nick? Is he working with the Stomach family? Why did he give out this creepy look on his face and whatnot? And yeah, give a like if you like it, and please subscribe, and I will see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!